is kind of what I want to use to go over meal prepping. I want to go over some practical stuff. Now, whether you are a meal prep pro or whether you are just getting used to meal prep, best case scenario from this video, I want you to be re-inspired and reignite your passion for food and prepping, or at least give you a few tips and tricks or reminders to make your life easier going forward. That is the goal, okay? Now, in terms of meal prepping, this means many different things to many different people. It's just, for me, it's very simple. It is just putting intention into thinking about what you're gonna eat. Just thinking about what you're gonna eat. And then it can go all the way to cooking every meal for the week, right? It's a very broad spectrum when you say meal prep. And I think it's important to clarify what that is, because the most common excuses I get as to why someone doesn't meal prep is, I don't know what to do. I don't like to cook. I like to cook fresh daily. I don't have time. The food is boring. Like, these are the similar excuses, right? And if you're listening to this and you're struggling with the meal prep side of things, you probably fall into one of those categories that I just mentioned of, we'll call them excuses, right? So it's important to know that meal prepping can be as simple as just thinking out your meals, right? That's still great. And then it can go all the way to fully prepping and cooking everything. So as long as you're on that scale, on that spectrum, you are doing a good job. You're where you need to be. Now you need to ask yourself, how more prepared can I be, right? Because there's no such thing as being too prepared, especially when it comes to food. The more prepared you are, the better outcomes you're gonna get, the less tempted you're gonna be, and the more proud of yourself you will end up being. So that's what's important. So what's really important, and this is something that we overlook a lot when it comes to food, is before you even think about meal prepping, before you even think about cooking, ladies, you need to make sure you are set up for success in a meal prep. And what that means is, what are your surroundings like? Your kitchen, your pantry, your fridge, your Tupperware. Are you set up for success? Are you set up to make it easy, to make it fast, to make it appealing, right? And I guarantee you the answer is no in some area, right? So let's kind of reverse engineer the perfect meal prep. It starts before you even cook, okay? And it's gonna start with your Tupperware, all right? Take a second and think about your Tupperware situation right now. I don't know about you ladies, but everybody I know has got a crazy Tupperware drawer. It's just mixed and matched, and we're missing lids, and they're colorful containers, or they're, yogurt containers or ice cream containers or sour cream containers being reused, right? Who has those? You got a ton of those, right? So what is your Tupperware situation, ladies? And this may sound so silly, but this is where you gotta start, okay? So if the Tupperware situation is unappealing, is disorganized, there's not enough sizes, this is where you start. If you want to master it, if you want to feel like you have more control over your food, start with the Tupperware, okay? So what do we have to do there? So ladies, glass Tupperware, we all know glass Tupperware. So you want to go with a glass Tupperware or BPA-free plastic Tupperware, right? We want to make sure we're not leaking toxins into our food. I like the clip lids. So you guys know those? Does anybody have those ones? The clip lids are really awesome, so you have a nice strong seal, so you don't have any spillage if you have to travel, okay? We want clear containers, okay? Clear containers are so important. Does anybody use clear containers on this call? Very important. Why is that important? Because guess what? We eat with our eyes first, right? We eat with our eyes first. If we have to guess where the food is, if it's not laid out looking appetizing for us, we will not choose it, we will not want it, and we'll be easily swayed into eating something else faster, more appealing. So storing things in clear containers is gonna let you know what's there. So you can pull it out faster, it's appealing to eat, and you're less tempted by something else that looks prettier, right? And then of course, to make your life easy, if you don't have this, you should be having multiple sized Tupperware. Really large, medium, single portion, small ones. You gotta have a wide variety of sizes so you can store leftovers, store full meals, you can carry snacks. Very important and very overlooked. So if you wanna become a master of the meal prep, if you want that control back with food, ladies, it starts with what you're putting your food in, okay? That is thing number one. What is the Tupperware situation? Go fix it. Invest time into setting it up properly and invest some money into getting a good set. So you have the preparedness there, okay? So that's the first thing. Now let's move over to our pantry, okay? This is really interesting. First of all, you guys have seen those like pantries, like whether they're pictures on Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest or whatever, the beautifully organized pantries with like glass jars and glass containers. We've all seen those, right? They're gorgeous and we all want them. So why haven't you got it, right? Or some version of it. Obviously things can't be perfect, but let's have some version of that, right? Imagine you walking into a pantry with everything in glass or clear containers so you can see what it is. It's appealing to you. You know, it's not full of half-eaten boxes, plastic bags everywhere, food crumbs, everything's, you know, it's not messy and disorganized. And that's where you have to start as well. So imagine you walk into a pantry with beautiful glass jars set up, and you've got rice, and you've got quinoa, and pasta, and couscous, and chickpeas, and lentils, and beans, and barley, and popcorn kernels. Like imagine you got all of these beautiful grains all laid out for you. It would be so much more easier to walk in there and be excited and inspired to cook, especially when those things don't take very long to cook at all, right? That is another step of making your food appealing. Have we been skipping that step? Have we been, you know, has dinner time come and we're expecting ourselves to want to reach into the fridge and grab our Tupperware and heat it up in a microwave, but it's not appealing, it's soggy, it's flavorless, right? We've gotten lazy with the energy we put in, right? But imagine if your food looks good, if all that healthy stuff is exciting and it draws you in. So that's the stuff with the grains, right? If you're tired, you know, if you're someone that says, this is bland, this is boring, I'm tired of eating the same thing all the time. Imagine having this huge lineup in your pantry and be like, I don't want rice today, I'll have some lentils. Imagine how much easier that decision would be instead of, oh, I'm not feeling like rice today, let me just order something quick, right? That little adjustment can just make you that much stronger in the moment. And those things build up and compile over time, and they create faster results, right? Same thing, ladies, with your spices and herbs. Who's got a huge variety of spices and herbs? Show of hands. Dried spices, dried herbs. Excellent. Anybody have pre-mixed seasonings, right? And then if we have all this stuff, think about how are they laid out? Are they just as beautifully organized? Are they bright and they make you want to try them, want to experiment, right? Or are they jammed in a cupboard somewhere with the plastic still around the top? Or are they jammed in a cupboard, spilled somewhere, right? How is this visually going to look for you so that you are excited to pull them? You can see them, you want to try them, right? You know, spices from like, you know, ginger, turmeric, all that stuff. And then herbs, you got your oregano, you got basil, so much fun flavors to play with, ladies. If you are somebody that finds yourself bored or unmotivated sometimes to meal prep, one of the easiest ways is to excite yourself with flavor. And if you're somebody who's new to the kitchen or not super familiar with how to make your own spice mixes and make something, experiment with a spice or an herb, go to your grocery store, go to the seasoning section and pick up the pre-mixed stuff and have it on hand always. There's Montreal steak spice, there's barbecue chicken flavors. Yeah, see, there's, you got your red pepper, you got your Italian flavorings, all that awesome stuff, right? And that makes your life easy. And you just dump it and go. And you've laid it out so beautifully so you want it. That's the key here, ladies. We have to make it harder for us to say no to cooking and prepping at home. Especially if this has not always been a habit of yours, it's going to be work at first. And you have to make that work as little as possible or you will not follow through. Or on a rough day, you will skip it. Or if you meal prep on Sundays and it's a really bad day and you miss that meal prep and you screwed up your whole week. One bad decision in the moment can screw you for the whole week because that could have been your only time and you weren't motivated to do it. And everything wasn't laid out for you and it wasn't organized and so on and so forth, right? So it's very important that you, number one, check your Tupperware. Seriously, you'll get excited too. It's like Christmas morning when you get new Tupperware too. And you beautifully organize it, and you got different sizes, and you can always see the food that's in it. Then your pantry has a wide, nice variety. And this is something you can build up over time, ladies. You know, either your pantry is can be more organized, or there's not a lot of options in it, right? So organize it and build up over time. 1 week you buy a bag of rice. The next week you buy some chickpeas. The next week you buy some quinoa, right? And over time you get to fill up all of it in your pantry. So you always have stuff and variety on hand. Same thing with your freezer, right? When you get inspired, when you get that jolt, when you're like, no, I don't want to maybe eat my pre-made meal today. Let me check what's in my freezer. Fill it up with healthy meats, lean meats. So you got tons of stuff on it, and build that up over time. The point here is, ladies, you got to put a little extra effort now into making it appealing, building the habit, and having plan B, plan C in place when plan A falls through of, I got to rely on my pre-prepped meal, right? So you got to stock up your freezer as well over time. So you got beautiful things to choose from. Oh, I don't want chicken breast again tonight? Okay, I've got lamb in the fridge. I've got lamb chops in the fridge. I got a pork loin in the freezer, right? And you can pull from these things, and you get excited about something new. Okay, the number one thing that I find that I hear from clients that will throw you off your weight loss journey is the food. The food is what throws you off the most. And it is because you either eat the wrong thing or eat too much of it, or we do not meal prep, so we are not prepared, and we end up screwing up our week later on. It's one of those two things, and both of those things can be fixed and prevented or made better by simply prepping to different degrees. And if you always have lots of in bulk stock in the pantry and the freezer, if it always is fairly organized and nice and pretty looking, it takes a lot less energy to work yourself up to going to do it, right? Who's had one of those days or one of those weeks where they skipped meal prep? Or they didn't even bother. They're like, no, I'm gonna be home this week, or I'll figure it out on the go, or I'll order in some healthy stuff, right? And you skipped it because we think it is hard work, right? We think it is hard work. Meal prep is not hard work. It should be smart work. You shouldn't have to work hard to meal prep. You should work smart. Slowly build up over time, make the environment appealing, and you're halfway there. That's going to boost your motivation to do it 50% every week, on top of you knowing you have to do it. It just really, really covers your back. And again, ladies, do not underestimate the fact that we eat with our eyes, right? We really do. That's why Instagram is so big with all the food channels, right? Anybody get lost scrolling Instagram from recipe to recipe, from dessert, or you get emails with recipes, you see it on Facebook. It's just, we really do eat with our eyes, and you have to take that to heart and input that into your meal prep. If it doesn't look sexy, if it doesn't look tasty, you will not choose it. A McDonald's burger looks way more appetizing than your chicken breast, your bland chicken breast and limp broccoli in the fridge. Am I right? Not good. And if you're having a bad long day, you're going to be weak, and you're not going to go for the meal. And that's when you make the bad decisions. And that's when you have the opportunity to see the most progress and push you faster. So it's important to be ready for those areas. Other things I would recommend. So this is in case you want some quick tips to either speed up your meal prep, make it more exciting, spice it up as well. Number one, I would say always, and this is the easiest thing you can do, ladies, every week, always cook one grain in bulk, whatever you want for the week. You can do a huge pot of rice, of quinoa, of pasta, of couscous, of chickpeas, whatever. One big pot of grains. It requires about 5 minutes to season and put together, and then you can let it simmer. You can put it in a slow cooker, and it's done for the entire week, and it took you like 5 minutes of preparation time, and then maybe 15, 20 minutes cooking time. Very easy. You always have something on the go. That's thing number one. Another tip that I think is really underestimated is having fun creating like a mystery spice. So once you have all these spices laid out in your home, herbs and spices, you can smell them, and then you start to experiment with them, which one goes with which, right? And you can create a big little pot, a big little container of this mystery seasoning that you made all by yourself. And you can put it on your veggies and roast your veggies. You can put it in a marinade and marinate your meat. You can sprinkle it on popcorn, right? It's so versatile, and it's a way to help you learn, right? Because if you don't like meal prepping, it's because you're not good at it. And if you're not good at it, it means you need to practice more. And that starts with learning food more, right? A lot of the times we're not good at it because we're not great cooks, right? We're not chefs. We wouldn't consider ourselves a chef, right? We can hold our own in the kitchen, but we're not chefs. The only way you get better and it becomes effortless and enjoyable is just by practice. And it does not take long. And I love like making a mystery spice for the week. Just have fun with it. Throw a little this in, a little bit of that, a little this, and you can always fix it by adding a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. But that's a really, really great one. So I would challenge you to change up your palate or test your culinary abilities to see where you end up with that seasoning. Did it go well? Do I need to work on my palate? Lots of cool stuff there. So that's another tip. Another great tip that I think is very simple and underestimated is meal prepping is made much easier if you cook on a cookie sheet, ladies. The cookie sheet has way more surface area than a frying pan, right? So you can roast and you can cook all your meats and your veggies on the same plan for the entire week, all in one shot, instead of having, 3 burners on the stove going and a slow cooker and both racks in the oven going, right? And you're chopping and you're cleaning at the same time. It's just overwhelming and it doesn't need to happen. So sheet pan, right? One of your cookie sheets, super easy. Put all your roasted veggies on there and you're good for the week kind of thing. So sheet pan is really underestimated if you find that you're cooking too frequently, right? Like every 2 days you run out of food and you don't want to, you didn't plan that. But that's really great too. Or if you're limited on time, you can throw it in and put the timer on the oven and walk away, and you've got more volume of food cooked with less space taken up, which is, again, less overwhelming for you. So you can work yourself up to doing that much more easily, and you can find motivation to do that much more easily than being like, okay, I got to spend 2 hours on a Sunday in the kitchen. I got to chop, clean, cook, portion, all of that. Really exhausting. So cookie sheets are awesome. Also, okay, very simple tweak for anybody listening. A lot of the time, especially for me in my meal preps, I spend a lot of time chopping veggies and chopping fruit. And that's probably the bulk, right? Because once it's chopped, then all I have to do is cook it, and cooking never usually takes long. So I find that I will actually, to save myself time and to make things easier, I will buy either frozen veggies or fruit because they are washed and pre-sliced. So they are, and easy and super easy to cook too. They just have to de-thaw. So frozen veggies are easy. Frozen fruit are easy. Also great for smoothies, right? Even frozen spinach is super awesome. You can put that in anything and it barely tastes like anything. Or pre-sliced, fruit trays, veggie trays to save you from chopping, right? Just little tips to kind of pick somewhere in your mind if that's the issue. So keep listening. Your ears will perk up when it's kind of your problem that you face with your issue or you want to get better at. So that's one of them, frozen stuff or pre-sliced stuff. Save you some time, save you some energy, and a lot of the times we dread it, right? We got to get the cutting board out, we got to get the knife out. It's just not fun. One of the best things that I started doing when I was new to meal prep, what I would do, and this is what probably a lot of you listening have done, what I normally did in the beginning was I cooked food for 7 days in a row, and I had I had the same breakfast for 7 days in a row, same lunch for 7 days in a row, same dinner 7 days in a row, and that worked, and that was awesome. It was super simple, super easy, minimal effort on my end. But what I found over time is I would get bored of that, and I would want to switch it up. And if I didn't recognize when I needed to switch it up, that's when I would normally fall off the wagon. If I didn't actively notice that I was getting bored and starting to crave other foods because I was getting bored, that's when I would get in trouble. So one of the easiest things that I found in terms of having fresher food and not having to eat, 7-day-old cooked chicken breast, having fresher food and having more variety so it's not bland or you get sick of the same food every day. What I like to do is I will pre-portion all my meat and I will cut it how I want to eat it, whether I want to eat it in squares, whether I want to eat it in strips, whether I want to eat it whole, whatever. I will pre-portion all of my meat and I will season them all different. I line them up in my Tupperware and I season one, a jerk flavor. And then I'll do the next one, taco flavor. Then the next one is Italian flavor. And that way, every week I get a surprise, or every day I pull it out and it's thawing in the fridge overnight. I pull it out of the freezer. It's ready to go in my air fryer for 5-10 minutes. And it's fresh chicken that I cooked in 5 minutes that was already seasoned. That is the fastest way if you are somebody who struggles with, I don't like eating pre-made food and I find my food's too boring. That is another great thing. So if you're not, if meal prep, if you've been focusing on other areas of meal prep and you're still wanting to make things faster and easier for you or more consistent, like you're able to keep up with it more, definitely try the pre-portioning of your meat and things like that. Okay, really easy there. Now, another thing that usually we're good at in the beginning, but we forget the later on into the journey, ladies, is the easiest way to meal prep is to meal prep the second you get home from the grocery store. It really is. You're already in that go, go, go mindset. Everything is all out and you get to chop and cook and prep while you put things away. It's just so much faster, so much smoother, and it gets it done in one go so you don't have to worry about it and you don't lose that momentum from the shopping, right? So some people will shop on the Saturday and by the time Sunday rolls around, they're not really feeling like prepping. So like, no, I'll just do it on the Monday. Then Monday comes and you feel the same and you push it off and you push it off. And then the box of spinach at the back of the fridge starts getting freaking smelly and wet and gross, right? Who bought the broccoli? Who bought the boxes of lettuce with good intention and it would just rot in the fridge because we never got around to it? Been there so many times. I've wasted so many boxes. I was like, I'm gonna eat salads every day this week. And because I didn't prep or plan, it just didn't happen. It was so unappealing to stare at spinach in a box. I just don't want it. Right? But if I pre-portioned it, if I knew I had some delicious flavored meat to put on top, if I had roasted veggies to put on it, if I made an awesome dressing ahead of time, then I'd be like, let's go. So let's spinach in. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to get at here, ladies. So right after shopping is going to keep that momentum up, going to give you fresh ideas. You're going to have your passion. You're going to want to, organize some things some more. So that'll help you more likely be able to fit it in consistently. Consistently. That is the key here. I don't want you to be all gung-ho meal prepping for a month and then think you're better than it, think you got it, and then stop prepping, right? Remember, prepping is thinking to cooking, right? That spectrum. So if you think you don't even have to think about your meals for the previous week, you're going to get into some trouble, okay? So watch that. Also for people with families or relatives to cook for, okay? Sometimes they'll eat what you're eating, sometimes they won't, right? Sometimes they will want another meal. If you do find yourself having to cook 2 meals, right, what you can do is make it somewhat healthy, or before you add the butters and the oils or whatever you're adding, save some for yourself and save that for the next day, right? So you now have not had to schedule more cooking time on top of already spending time in the kitchen, because that's probably one of the #1 complaints I get. People not wanting to spend hours in the kitchen, right? Especially if you have a whole family to feed. So if you're cooking for yourself, then cooking for your family, when you're cooking for your family, cook extras before you add all the good stuff to it, all the tasty fats. Take some extras out, save it on the side so you have, lunch and dinner for tomorrow so you don't have to cook. And it's fresh too. And that can be done usually near the end of the week when you notice that you're running out of your prepped food. So there's another little hack to help you, ladies. And then, of course, we all probably have one, like a slow cooker or an Instapot or an air fryer, right? We all have these things that are meant to save you time. So if you have a slow cooker and you've been meaning to use it, this is your cue. This is your wake-up call to use it. Make a soup, make a roast some veggies. There's so much you can do with it, and you just plug it and go. So if you do everything we just talked about, if you pre-portion food, you pre-portion your proteins and pre-season them, you got those ready to go and chopped in the freezer. If you buy pre-sliced frozen veggies and fruit, you don't even have to cook those. They're pretty much good to go, right? And then on top of that, while that's happening, you're also cooking an entire meal in your slow cooker for the week. Easy peasy. And you didn't even have to do any extra effort. It's about making it simple. I want you guys to work smart. When it comes to weight loss, there's a lot of hard work that needs to be done. Absolutely, ladies. You will not be successful if you do not work hard during this. However, when it comes to meal prep, if it is not successful for you, if you haven't been consistent with it, or if you're not following it, what you have prepped throughout the week. It means you are working hard at it or not working at it, and you're not working smart at it. So we gotta flip and work smart. And it starts with our mindset, right? It is a privilege to have the money to buy food, no matter what you're buying, no matter what you're able to buy. It is a privilege to be able to get food. It is a privilege to experiment with food and expand your knowledge and expand your palate. It is a privilege to realize that you need to become passionate about food. Some people don't even realize how important this is and go their lives without learning how to cook for themselves, right? They cook the bare minimums, or they just keep ordering out. So this whole mindset around meal prep should be, it is a privilege. It is not a chore. It should not feel like work. You should have put in enough energy and effort in the beginning. So probably about a month of solid effort where it's going to take a little bit more time on that meal prep day and a little bit extra preparation during the week, where it is not a chore. It should actually become fun, because now you are so competent with what flavors you like. You're like, I'm going to put that, and that together. And then you walk into your beautiful pantry and you get to choose what you want. And you look at your beautiful spices and you get inspired to make a brand new dish. And you look at your slow cooker and you're like, ooh, I'm going to make some chili today. It's just lack of practice that is not making you an expert chef, because that's where you need to be. You don't need to be, on par with chefs, but you need to be your own personal chef. Wouldn't it be awesome if you knew how to be your own personal chef? If you created food that you loved, and on top of that, you created healthy food that you loved that other people started to want, and you have an influence on your family that way. So it is a privilege to be able to meal prep. It is a privilege to understand how important meal prepping is, okay? And it should not be a chore. It is only a chore, which I put in quotations, in the beginning of your journey while you're learning the way that each spice tastes, when you're learning how to bake versus saute. That's the chore. Just learning new baseline skills. Then when you have that, make it fun, right? Time flies when you're having fun. You look forward to things you enjoy. You will not skip out on a meal prep. You will not talk yourself out of the meal prep. You will not be demotivated by the thought of a meal prep if you actually enjoy it. What a crazy thought, right? What a crazy thought. That is where you need to be working towards. So every time you enter that kitchen, for whatever level of prep you've taken on that spectrum, you are walking in with the mindset of, I need to learn to love this. I need to learn to have fun. How can I have fun this time? That's it, right? Listen to a podcast, listen to music and dance while you do it. Put a timer on and challenge yourself to see how quickly you can do it. If you can get it done in 30 minutes, right? Get a helper involved. Get a helper involved who can take one task every week, who can make it simple for you, right? Make a mystery spice blend and see how good you're getting at things like that. Experiment with yourself. Buy a new food each week that you've never cooked before. Never cooked lamb before? Try it. Try it. Never cooked bison before? Try it. Never had barley before? Try it. Food is not boring, and food and no energy, no time, and bland, boring food are not excuses to meal prep. That is you not working smart and not putting in the bare minimum efforts, right? So that is kind of where I want your mind thinking. So whether or not you are doing great with your meal prep right now, or you're really struggling right now, okay, these tips are applicable to you. At least one of them is. So going forward, your meal prep should be adjusted in some way. Whether you just have to make it a little bit more fun, maybe throw on some music, right? What's that? Is it Risky Business, the movie where they slide in their shirt and socks? Do one of those. Do one of those. How fun is that? Either, as on the small side of making it fun, or, getting really complicated and trying a new food, then you're going to be good. It's just about, are you going to put in the reps? And are you going to put in fun reps so that you work smart? Meal prepping, you should not have to work yourself up to do it. And you should not want the food that you've prepped throughout the week. Okay, those are the two biggest issues that will pop up. Okay, you don't want to do it when it's time for it, or you forgot about it because you ran out of time, or when the time comes during the week, you don't want to eat what you prepped. Right? Those are all avoidable if you make it fun and you organize everything so it's pretty easy and you eat with your eyes first. Two big things, ladies. So take away what you will from this call. I want to know really quickly in the comments, what is one thing that you're going to change or adjust or add with your meal prep the next time you do it? Write in the comments. I want to know how you're going to adjust and make it more concrete in your routine. How can you make this something that is easier to do for you, that requires less effort and less hyping up to get done? So write it in the comments. Implement it going forward, and it will no longer just be a chore, right? Because there's lots of things that we view as chores on this weight loss journey. There is a lot. There is a lot, right? You have to, it's a chore to work out sometimes. It's a chore to listen to coaching calls sometimes. It's a chore to cheer on other fit queens when you're not feeling great. It is a chore a lot of the times in a lot of different ways. And that is when you have to save your willpower and your hard work for those times. It's hard when you had a rough day at work, when life's not being kind to you. That's when you have to work hard to push past it. Do not waste your willpower and your hard work on a meal prep. Don't do that to yourself. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for having a bad day because you were unprepared, and then that bad day spirals into a bad week, which we do not need. You do not need. You are capable of becoming an awesome cook and mastering meal prep. You are a master. You are. Really, 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 ladies, I promise. It's just work smart. Just work smart. Don't look at it as this huge undertaking or, oh my God, I gotta do all this planning. It's just being prepared. And you deserve to be prepared. Your future self deserves to not be panicking, deserves to not have an internal battle in their mind of what to eat. Should I go for the bad thing? Should I go for the good thing? Your future self deserves to have that organization and the calmness around food, because we don't have control over much else about what life throws to us, right? We really don't have much control over the craziness in life, but the food we do have control over. So don't let that be one of the causes of your stress when there is so much else on your plate. So work smart, ladies, all right? And implement at least one thing from today. And I'm gonna post it to the Facebook group. You guys can go through it, comment on it. I like what you're saying here. Debbie says she's gonna cook 1 grain a week. Super easy, right? You just boil it usually and you're good to go. And you can play around with the flavors. Right? Italian rice, who knows? Mexican rice, like whatever. Spray some lime on it. Put some cilantro in it. Like there's so much cool stuff you can do. What else? Plan on getting those glass Tupperwares. Yes, they're so easy. They're really good for traveling if you're back and forth all the time. They're beautiful. They microwave well. They're microwave safe, right? So you don't have to worry about chemicals leaking or anything leaking or anything drying out in the fridge, which isn't fun, right? Dried out like chicken is not good. Clear containers. Back from my son. I love that. Yes, get the damn clear containers back. And that's what I wanted to talk about too. If you do have good containers, or you're getting good containers, don't be afraid to sit the household down and be like, hey, these are my containers. These are your containers. These are my containers. Don't touch my containers, right? Because that's another thing. If you're all excited and you finally realize that it's not a chore and you're going to have fun doing this meal prep for 30 minutes on a Sunday, and then you go and you got nothing to put it in, then you're going to be like, screw it. Then you're all going to dump it in one container. Then that's going to be really unappealing to scoop out. It's just, that's another thing we can prevent. So definitely do that. Meal plans on Sunday, even if I don't fix the food. Yeah, exactly. So that's a really good point too. Just planning what you want to eat in your mind before you even start cooking is even good enough sometimes. If you're going to have a crazy week, if you have a crazy weekend, if you're stressed, if you're just low energy or in a funk and you just can't pull yourself to actually prep and cook, just plan in your head. Just plan, right? That's the first step. Right? You don't want to walk into the kitchen not having an idea. Just plan. And then maybe you're like, okay, so I'm going to have this. Well, then I can definitely, I can at least chop potatoes today. takes 1 minute, and I made it one step easier for my future self to make a good decision. And that's what we're trying to do, ladies. What can I do today that will make it easier for my future self to make these decisions?